I love all my children, but I just like babies. There's something about it, right? So you guys met baby Mikey, and as he said hi to you guys, how would you feel if I said, "Hey, little minority,
Yeah,
go hang out with your dad, little minority. Go, you're just a cute little minority." I could feel the energy shift with both of you guys.
absolutely.
Like, what kind of mother calls her kid a minority? Well, I'll leave you with this, or we'll start off with this. If we won't say it to someone that we love, why would we call someone a minority that they deserve, someone that deserves love? It's very, very simple. Baby Mikey deserves all the love in the world. And the person that you're calling a minority, like even the word, just calling your kid that, why would we say it to someone else? It's a different way of saying another oppressive word. You are different. You go sit over there. Let me show you about yourself. And again, it's all in the languages it's all in the language. So while we're not directly saying the N-word, ninja, wada, however you want to use it, we classify a very specific group of people as a minority. Mm-hmm. And we use it so fluently in workplaces. We need to hire more minorities. Yeah. I will tell you this. My husband called me a POC, I'd be like, what? Like that's just, there's this paradigm that has to shift. And before I open it up, I want to just give you guys the definition and maybe a little story of a paradigm. So paradigm is a way of thinking or behaving that traps us into believing a truth because it was drilled into us by so many people that we cannot think any other way. That is a paradigm. And most of us don't even realize that we are in a paradigm. Using the word minority, paradigm. We should not be calling anyone that. Majority belongs in voting, not on the human heart. I mean, we need to change the words.
Sure. But the only problem is that this, in order for there to be minorities, that means the white is the majority. The white is the basis. That's the foundation. And the rest of us are just privileged to live among them. I mean, that's really what there's a great comic, Gene Pompa, the Latin comic in LA. And he hates it when he sees LA. They'll report it on the news. 80% of the population of LA is minorities. How can 80% be the minority of anything? What if we're all, and white is a classification. Hungarian is a minority, she's white, but she's also a minority, so it's just semantics, but a way to, kind of push their power on us and keep people down. But you love it. I mean, when it's done in the corporate world to call attention to that, because they think they're doing good. And Andrea, please.
I agree with everything that you just said. It's another form of labeling to be able to segregate, diminish, control. I do want to add, there's a statistic that I read a few years ago, and I believe we're still on track for that, but by 2040, whites will be the minority in the United States, which, if you think about it, just pause for a second and you think about what's happened in the past few years politically. I'm not going to take this into a political conversation. But are people afraid? Is that where ego is popping up? They're afraid of loss. They're afraid of losing status, stature, opportunity to current minorities. So we got to continue to push down, but we're a handful of years away from actually having the tables are going to turn. Is sure. The easiest way of putting it. The tables are going to turn, and yet representation in business, in the ivory towers, worldwide, we can say the ivory towers exist, and who still owns control goes back to fear. It goes back to all of that, and the paradigms. Charisse, that word, which I have to say personally, I can't stand that word. And why? It's a box. Yeah. It puts us in a box, and it says that from birth, you need to pick a sandbox to play in.
Right.
And you stay in that box.
Yeah.
The 90s, you brought up the 90s and the music scene for me, right? To me, Nine Inch Nails and Nirvana. And I was like, I am not like my parents. I'm not listening to the Beatles. I am listening to this. This represents me, right? Little goth girl, Catholic schoolgirl, by the way. So it was about not fitting in a box anymore because it wasn't me. I spent my life getting out of that box. And now I see all kinds of boxes. And I'm like, why do we need boxes? There's one. It's called planet Earth.
Yeah.
Everybody on it is a human.
The interesting component, and you guys have all heard me say this, it's not a black and white issue. It's a humanity issue. It comes down to that. And it's about raising we have all of these conversations. We're like anti-racism, which you guys know how I feel about that. Anti-racism, anti-this. And, it's just continuing, but not leading us to higher consciousness. The word anti in itself, paradigm, right? There's no movement there. So how are we going to solve something if we can't get to higher consciousness? Yeah. And companies that are like, we're going to hire more minorities, you're still carrying the same energy and vibration of what was created around, I think when my mom talks about the affirmative action, being at the bottom of the memo, Charlotte, hired a black one, we got it. It's like, we need to shift. And I think starting with the N-word is a really appropriate way to talk about it, because you can hear how it's transcended over time, but how it still creates still has that vibrational lower frequency.
Yeah.
Right. No matter if you're saying it for someone you love, it still carries. So let's look at the words that we're using. I'm pretty sure no one on here that's watching would be like, I feel very comfortable that you just called your baby a minority.
Yeah.
You greeted him as such. One of the best experiences that I had when I had baby Mikey was as a home birth. You don't have to you can wait as long as you want to go register your baby. And I remember sitting there thinking, he's not male, he's not female, he's not black, he's not white. He's not nobody can label my baby. And then when I went out for the first time, it was interesting. I was telling Andre about this. So my baby, I joke, I ran out of toner when I had him. My other babies are, go from beautiful chocolate and then they just kind of go down, and baby Mikey doesn't have a hint. Okay. So I'm out there nursing my baby, oh God, people are going to think I'm the wet nurse, and cause he looks spitting image of his father. But there was nothing thrown upon him. And for that moment, I just held that sacred moment of just being you're not what the world is going to view you as. You are here. You are human. And that's why I refer to my babies as little humans. They are human. And it's our job, the people that can speak, stand up and do something to change this world that our little humans are coming up in. We might not make it, right? I mean, Matt, you, me, Andrea, great. We might not make it, but little Mikey will. And he doesn't need to go into the workplace. What are you? Let's not gift this next generation that energy. We should be able to clean it up by now. What? We go to the moon? We got rockets? We can transfer invisible currency? We can end this. And it really does start with our words. And I'd love to hear what you guys say. I wanted to just share those components there. What do you guys think?